Hi, has Keir Starmer gone mad? On Monday, he's signing what many are calling a surrender deal with the EU in London. A youth mobility scheme is the big sort of flagship project here, and that could open Britain's doors to millions and millions of migrants, up to 80 million. It won't be that many, but you'll get what I mean in a moment. No cap, no control, no shame. If you voted for Brexit, this is the moment you've been dreading. The betrayal has begun. Hi, welcome to the John Gaunt Show. Thank you for making it at such short notice. Loads to talk about today. Absolutely loads. That's why I'm doing it now. So crazy, so mad at what Starmer's trying to do. He's trying to get us back into the EU via the back door. Yes, there's other stuff involved, fisheries and the rest of it. But the biggest thing is this policy of what I call freedom of movement. So it's Starmer's Brexit surrender. No cap, no control, just open borders for 80 million potential people to come to the UK. I thought he said he got it. He was clearly playing with words. On Monday, the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, will sign what is a surrender deal with the EU. Is he a traitor? That's the question. Get your comments in now, please. I'm only going to be here for a short while, so if you want to get on board today, get in early. So he's going to sign what I'm calling a surrender deal with the EU, a so-called youth mobility scheme. It's nothing more than a backdoor return to freedom of movement. Because who are the people who normally come? Young people. Who are the people getting out of boats? Yes, there's a surprise. It's people of fighting age, young men. So last week he said he got what we were complaining about, and now he's stitching us up. That was my phone turning on. He says it's a reset. I call it a betrayal of the 17 million people, me included, who voted for Brexit. It was a fair vote. Because here's the truth. This deal that he's going to sign with Ursula von der Leyen and the rest of them in London, do you see him cozying up to him? That's why I've got him in his true coloured suit today. It's going to be so that but over 80 million people could come, EU citizens could come to our country. And that includes the whole of the EU, including some of the people we've already got rid of. And I'm old enough to remember when that stupid German Chancellor, Angela Merkel, opened the doors to migrants. They all went to Germany. They got citizenship there for a second, and then they came to Britain. That's what will happen again. Now, the idea of young people going and working abroad, I'm all in favour of. But you've got to have a cap. Australia, they limit their youth scheme to 40,000 a year. But when he's questioned on whether there's a cap, he prevaricates. He dodges the question. He doesn't tell the truth. There's going to be no cap in Starmer's world because Starmer, like I said to you last week, he believes in open borders. He believes in, let them all come. That's what he is. He's EU to the core. I've got him in his EU suit today, but I bet like a stick of Brussels rock or Blackpool rock, if you broke him in half, you'd see the stars running through him. He is not British in that sense. He sees himself as a European. He refuses to impose any limit. He had somebody on the telly this morning with Laura Kunsberg, and again, he dodged that question. Why? Because it would appear that Starmer's got no intention whatsoever of cutting immigration. It's just more words from a man who pretends to listen to you and me, but does the exact opposite. After Labour's election spanking, Starmer claimed he got it on immigration. Turns out it was all an act. Another Farage, bad Farage impression. Nothing more. Just you watch now as the betrayal sets in. So we're talking about what we're describing as Starmer's Brexit surrender. No cap, no control, just open borders for 80 million potential people to come to the UK. Happy Sundays. It's the John Gaunt podcast. Keir Starmer is performing or attempting to perform a Brexit betrayal. If you're interested in UK politics, if you're concerned about immigration into the UK or open borders, you've got to have your say this morning. Pip Tomlinson, you're first on. I shall get to you in a couple of moments, but I just need your opinions now, please. Is he mad? Plotting with the EU to flood the UK with migrants. The Brexit betrayal has begun. I just think it's absolutely disgraceful. It's a Brexit surrender. No cap, no control, just open borders for up to 80 million other young people to come to Britain. What's the point of saying he's going to smash the gangs? There'll be no need to use the gangs. They can just get on Eurostar now and come and say they're going to work in a coffee shop. Undoubtedly, we need some people, but that's what's going to happen. So let's look at what you're saying on the comments, and then we'll come back to the rest of it in a moment. Pip Tomlinson, Starmer is very, very sneaky. He's always trying to slip something through the back. And his default position is the U-turn. Well, I don't think he's going to U-turn on this. I think he thinks he's got this one sewn up. David Allison, he's even angrier on YouTube. He says he's blatantly a low-life traitor in open sight. If you want to comment and if you've got an opposite view, I particularly want to hear it. If you're enjoying it and if you do enjoy my podcasts and broadcasts, please press the like button. The more people who press that, the algorithm thinks we're popular or believes we're popular and therefore pushes it harder. We get even bigger audiences. What do you make of what Starmer's up to? It's a Brexit surrender. No cap, no control, just open borders for up to 80 million. I'm not saying 80 million will come, but I'm saying that's who's eligible. Why won't he put a cap on it? Why won't he say we'll have 10,000? Because we're not as big as Australia. We'll have 10,000 young Europeans, and you can take some of ours as well. That's a good idea, isn't it? To get people to mix. Nothing wrong with that. But you can't just have it with no limits whatsoever, can you? So what is this youth mobility scheme? Let me give you a bit more detail on it. It sounds harmless, doesn't it? It sounds like a great idea, but you've got to look at the small print. Starmer is preparing to hand the EU the golden ticket. He thinks he's Willy Wonka. I certainly think he's Willy something, but that's a completely different subject. He wants access for millions of young Europeans to live and work in Britain. But it's not going to be time limited. There's not a cap. If you go to Australia, there's only a certain amount of time you can stay, which is right, isn't it? This isn't just a job swap for a few graduates. This is the backdoor return of freedom of movement. Now, you might be in favour of that. I'm not. Look what happened last time. When Tony Blair said we're going to have open door, and when it was access to the new countries that join, the East European countries that join the EU, other countries, Italy, places like that, they put a limit on how many of the new countries people could come in. Did Blair? No. Why? Because him and Mandelson wanted to rub our noses in diversity. The same thing's going to happen again. So all the Polish plumbers came, but so did all the other people. So suddenly our whole country was changing. We weren't asked about it. Now, when it came to Brexit, I'm sorry if it upsets the uber liberals with their cafe lattes and skinny dipping in Kefalonia. Immigration was a big part of it, both illegal and legal. People said, look, we want to mix, but we can't have every Tom, Dick, Abdul, Mohammed, Peter, Franz coming in. You've got to limit it. But since then, it's got worse with successive governments, whether they're Conservative or whether indeed they are Labour. In fact, you can't tell much difference between them, can you? So they've kept coming. Now, he got a spanking last week in the election. So I'm watching the BBC's top political show today. Was there somebody on there from Reform? No. They had a Liberal Democrat on. What the Brexit got to do with them? You may as well have had the Green Party. And then you got Nick Ferrari. I like Nick, I know him well, but he sort of said, oh, we don't want to go back to the language before during Brexit, where it all got very hostile. Why not, Nick? Somebody's trying to give away our country. It might not bother you, you big fat pension. It bothers me. And I'm sure it bothers a lot of people listening and watching today. Australia, then, they've got a set limit of 40,000. Starmer's plan has a zero cap. You know what he's doing here? He wants it to be, oh, well, we may as well be back in the EU. He's going to let the Europeans take our fish again. So the fishermen are already going bankrupt. He's putting another nail in their coffin. But it's the migration policy that's the big one, because we've told him clearly we've had enough. He should be cutting all immigration, certainly illegal immigration. But there's a good point to be made to let's just stop immigration for a year or so, find out who we've got in the country, return those who shouldn't be here, and then move forward from there. But no, he wants 80 million European citizens to be eligible to come here. Oh, and what are we getting in return for this sellout deal? We're going to get the opportunity to compete for contracts for defence and for the armed forces. We'll do without it. I thought we'd just done a deal with President Trump. Why on earth do we want to now put ourselves back in with the EU when it's clear Trump is going to do a stitch-up deal on the EU? He hates them. He hates them with every fibre of his body. We should be fully aligning to the States. But no, Lammy and Starmer and the rest of that miserable bunch, and Yvette Cooper, who couldn't control, I don't know what, she couldn't control a classroom, let alone our borders. They're selling us out. So 80 million EU citizens aged between the ages of 18 to 30, like I keep saying. How old are the blokes getting out of the boats, would you say? On average, would you say 18 to 30? Yes, you would. Do you see what I'm trying to say? We're looking at a policy that could flood the UK without any upper limit. He is selling us out again. Do you agree with me? Get on the comments. Come on, let's have a big reaction to this. He's a weirdo freak that cares more about other countries than he does his own people, says the feral gamer. Thank you for that. Fraser Ford, he's just put a thumbs up. Thank you. He wants as many new votes as he can get. Well, I think that's quite a good point, Fraser, because nobody who's already in the country is going to vote for him, are they? He's the most unpopular Prime Minister in history since records began. And he just doesn't seem to get it. He did say last week, okay, I get it. You're mad about immigration. And I get it. It's also about illegal immigration. So we're going to smash the gangs. We're going to smash an avocado. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Next minute, he's in bed, metaphorically speaking, with Ursula von der Leyen. Have you seen the pictures in the newspapers this morning? And he's surrendering. Now, look, Starmer, I know you never wanted to leave, but you are elected to do now what the British public want. And what we wanted was out of Europe. People like you and Theresa May, you stalled it for so long. We didn't really get a proper Brexit. When people say to me, oh, Brexit hasn't worked, I say, yes, that's right, correct. They go, what? I thought you were in favour of it. I am, but not the Brexit we've got. And I'm certainly not in favour of making it even worse by going back in through the back door. What is it with Starmer? He loves rear entrances by the look of it. He loves getting back in the back door. What's he doing? Does he think we're thick? We're not going to accept this, Keir. We are not. We want jobs for our people. John, get Jamie Vardy to take over and run the country. He's available tomorrow, honest, hardworking, and will put in a great shift for this wonderful nation of ours, as long as he doesn't bring his wife. But you're true. He couldn't do much worse, could he? And that's somebody on Twitter, Gary Reeves. Thank you very, very much indeed. Why does Starmer think he can do this? Anyone got any ideas? How do we stop him? And I've described him as a traitor. Am I going over the top? I know, because when I was doing my caption today and I was working out what to say, I did think, oh, this will get you pulled off, Gaunty. Pardon, didn't use that expression about this will get me pulled off all the platforms. But why? I think it is traitorous what he's doing. I think it's against the will of the nation. We had a democratic vote. No one said it was corrupt. We won. They lost. I've had reformers, rejoiners all over my line all weekend, demanding, we should go back in and the rest of it. Let me just read you a couple of these tweets. I mean, they're incredible, ridiculous comments they come out with. I've got some here on my phone. Just give me 1 second. I'll find them. Yeah, so look, here's one I put up. I thought Keir Starmer said he got it after the election hammering. So why is he going to betray us all with his Brexit sellout? I had a massive reaction to this morning on X. He's bringing back freedom of movement by the back door with his youth mobility scream. He's hoisting the white flag to Brussels. Traitor, liar. Now, is that over the top? What do you reckon? Let's have your view. Now, but here's one of the idiots. Reform UK leaks. He says immigration is out of control because of Brexit. You what? Farage lied to the gullible and racist. Oh, yeah, we're all racist because... Anyway, like you. Oh, I'm a racist. He's calling me a racist. And now you want to trust Farage again. You effing, well, he uses the actual word, moron. I'm an effing moron, am I? Reform UK leaks. Oh, let's have a look at you. You've got 45 followers. So you're popular. I must start listening to you before I write anything up next time. But, it was the same like last night. I just made the point, and I don't want lots of comments on this because obviously I can't control them. And I just made the point that this Ukrainian fella who's been arrested, how come they know so much about him? And how come they're telling us so much? And how come he knew all about Keir's car or ex-car and the places that he lives? Then some idiot, some liberal said, well, it's easy information. You're thick. Don't you know how to do it? Well, I've got to say, no, I don't. I don't know how to find out where he's lived before. I don't. And then somebody said, oh, it's just like a burglary. They just burgle you. Well, yes, they do. But this clearly isn't burglary. It's clearly targeted at the Prime Minister. I don't know why. And then other people said things that, you shouldn't really say at the moment because you don't know if you haven't got any evidence. I was just questioning how come it was suddenly, and it's terror, but then Southport wasn't. They kept that quiet for ages. The things don't add up to me. Terminally Tangerine. This is obviously somebody who's against me. Again on Twitter. Go on, tell us about the oven-ready deal. Excuse me. I think you'll find that was Boris Johnson. And the Tooth Fairy. Brexit has been, and always will be an abject failure. You were sold a lie. We have lost millions because of your fantasy faux politics and false premises. Time for closer trade links with our closest neighbour. You are a prat, mate. I wonder how many followers you've got. Absolutely ludicrous. Oh, he's got 3,500. That's quite good. Well done, my friend. Well done. So you'd rather go with Europe, even though we've just got a deal with America. It's not a good deal. That's because Starmer's a useless negotiator. He just bends over and takes it. I'm talking about politics. But it's ludicrous. I'm saying we should be with America. What do you say? This is quite interesting. This one says, I prefer Boris regardless of how many died under his watch. The difference now is that people actually want to take their own lives because of what Starmer's doing. I'm not so sure about that. Fraser, he was a traitor when he stabbed the farmers in the back. That's a good point. That is a good point. Thank you very much indeed. Laugh my something off, says Feral Games again. Get you pulled off. Yeah, okay, enough. Let's move on. Let's get back to the migration crisis, which is what it will become. By the way, if you want to reward me with a little gift, you can do that if you're watching on YouTube. Just press the heart button, and I think it's anything from £1 upwards. Or you can do what some people have been doing over the weekend, buy me a coffee. That's a £5 and upwards. That you just go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Gaunt. John Gaunt. It's as simple as that. But if you want to do it now whilst we're watching on YouTube, just go to Super Chat or Super Sticker. And I see lots of you are pressing the like button. Seems like Sunday morning's a good time to talk, doesn't it? So thank you all indeed for joining in. All right. Let's get back to this for a minute, shall we? Here's the real kick in the proverbials. Starmer claimed only last week that he got it on immigration. He understood the message that we were sending him. Because let's face it, Labour got an electoral spanking. He stood there, though, didn't he? Doing his best Nigel Farage from Reform UK tribute act, saying he understood the anger. But it was all theatre. Just more hollow words from a man with no real intention to cut immigration. A man with no backbone. A man with the spine of an amoeba or a blancmange. He has got no respect for the 17 million people who voted Leave. So this, what he's going to parade tomorrow, and he's lining it all up, isn't a reset. It's a reversal. Starmer isn't delivering Brexit. He's quietly and systematically dismantling it, one handshake and one kiss at a time. Did you see him kissing Ursula von der Leyen? What I can't get is how he thinks he'll get away with it. Are we going to sit on our hands and not do something, guys? Because we were told Brexit was about taking back control. And that meant of our borders, our laws, our future. Part of this new reset deal, we're going to give the EU loads and loads of money, millions and millions, so we get this trade deal for defence, which we're not going to get, is going to be shared. And we're going to be subject to their laws. But it gets worse. Because evidently, I was seeing this on Laura Kunsberg this morning, if we sign this deal, we're also signing up to behave ourselves going into the future. So we won't even be at the negotiating table, but they'll be able to tell us what to do. Now, I wouldn't mind if the EU was mega successful, but the EU is in a terrible situation at the moment. It's certainly no better than where we are. So why are we going down on one knee again? He loves going down, doesn't he? Down on one knee for Black Lives Matter and made himself look a fool. He's down on both knees now to Ursula von der Leyen. It's ludicrous. We're Great Britain. We left Keir Starmer. We are not looking for a stealth return back to Brussels. Immigration is now higher than ever. Communities are under pressure. Services stretched thin. And instead of solving it, Starmer is away signing our keys to the country. If you think this is wrong, if you feel betrayed, don't stay silent. Say something and start saying it now on the John Gaunt podcast. This is a mad situation we're in. A man who wasn't even in government at the time, he's deciding that we all got it wrong. How dare he do that? How dare he do that? Boris let every Tom, Dick and Abdul into the country. Yes, you're not going to hear me, Will, supporting Boris. They've all let us down. But make no mistake, the establishment class is trying to get us back in. That's why they haven't dealt with the boats. Because there's kind of an attitude, isn't it? Oh, well, they're here now. We may as well let them stay. I told you about this weeks ago. This is what Boris wanted to do in London. Khan wants to do. They want to give an amnesty to the people who are already here. I don't. I want to give them a one-way ticket back to whatever shithole they've come from. This is crazy. Well-balanced, managed immigration has made this country great. I'm all for that. But this isn't it. This is making sure that Keir Starmer can get his latte coffee whenever he wants it. It is. It's about bringing in more cheap labour from Europe, yeah, and getting them to work in our cafe bars and bistros. It's just madness. I agree that our people need to go abroad, and it's good to have some people here. I've never got a problem with that at all. What I've got a problem with is this idea of an open door policy, which is what he believes. It's what Blair believed. It's what Mandelson believed. A country without borders is not a country. Let me hear from you, please. They want to build EU stuff because they sent 2,100 troops to Ukraine 4 days ago. World War III is pre-organized. Oh, no, I can't be doing with conspiracy nonsense, mate. You know, try and make a decent point. Otherwise, you're just boring me. Pam Millett says, Starmer's a traitor to the British people, especially the taxpayers. Tony Hodgkinson's also just bringing up that question that I was bringing up. How easy is it to find out what property and cars the PM owns? I'd imagine it's very difficult myself, which is the point I was trying to make, but all the liberals jumped on me. So anyway, if we've got a liberal listening and you want to say something, feel free. I'll take your comments as well. But I'm telling you, we're being sold out. Got to stop in a minute. I'm off out today. I'm looking forward to a family day. So there we go. But drop your thoughts in the comments. Are you furious? Are you as angry as I am? Do you support this deal? Because let's talk if you do. But most importantly, will you please share the video? Get it out there before the media spins it and it's something it's not, or it gets taken down. I don't think I'm saying anything wrong, but in today's world, you never know. I've got over 50,000 people liking what I said about the Ukrainian guy. And I know the law. I'm not prejudicing his case. Unlike Starmer, of course, who told us we couldn't know the identity of the Southport Slayer because it would compromise the thing. Therefore, there were then riots everywhere. And if he had told us, probably the riots wouldn't have been as bad. Not me saying that. That's his ex-terrorism or his terrorism chief. But this time, we seem to know everything about the Ukrainian. And there's some things we're getting to know which I don't particularly want to know. Weird. It's weird. So like, comment and subscribe if you want some more uncensored, shooting from the lip videos like this. Because I tell you what, the way this country's going, someone's got to say it. So we're talking Keir Starmer, the EU deal. What do you make of this youth mobility scheme? Are we being betrayed on Brexit? Open borders. What do you think about that? Maybe we should just say, no, who cares? Everyone can come in. What do you think about immigration? What about the small boats? It's got the small boats off the front page. But that's the most ridiculous thing, isn't it? He is going to let in the very people he wants to smash the gangs on. They won't need the gangs. So now he'll start bragging, oh, the boats have gone down. Well, yeah, because all on bloody Eurostar, you idiot. 80 million EU migrants could come to our country. Could, I'm stressing that. Is it a surrender deal? Is he undermining the democratic Brexit vote? What do you think about our immigration policy? These are all things you can talk about afterwards. And what do you think about freedom of movement? Are we being stitched up like a kipper? Because I say we are. I say we are. Wendy Roberts says, are you pissed? I'm pissed off. What do you mean by that comment? What do you mean by that? Yeah, there she is, just in case. I don't understand what you mean, Wendy. What, you don't agree with me? That's fine. You don't have to agree with me. I'm not drunk. What time is it? It's 11:30 in the morning. Didn't even have a drink last night, actually, just to let you know. But anyway, I tell you what I am. I'm peed off. I'm passionate. I love our country. And I want immigrants in the country. They've made it better. But it's got to be well controlled and managed. And that means we can't have the Dover dinghy boys arriving whenever they fancy. It also means you can't open your borders to 80,000 new people. 80 million, sorry. You can't do it. It won't work. It's unsustainable. We haven't got the landmass. We haven't got the money. It's just mad. Keir Starmer has shown his true colours. There you are. He has. He's a Europhile all the way through. He loves it. And now he's letting him in through the back door. And he's conning us. Unbelievable what's going on. And everyone's rolling over and let him tickle our tummy. Right, well, that's me done. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you to all the people who've pressed the like button. That's a tremendous turnout. Good turnout in terms of people watching. Don't forget, you can always watch it again on replay. I'll put it straight up now. And don't forget, you can also listen on the podcast version of it, the audio version of it. And don't forget, you can contribute whenever you fancy. If you want to buy me a coffee, it's www.buymeacoffee.com. If you'd like also to get involved, you can get involved on Twitter and on Facebook. And of course, you can give me a super chat or a super sticker. No one's done that today. Anybody fancy doing that this morning and getting their name on the roll of honor, as you can see below me? No, I sound drunk now. I can see where she's coming from. I do apologize for that. Right, that's me done. I'm off to see my daughters. I shall see you again on Monday at 6:30. This is an extra show today just because I was so peed off. Thank you very much indeed for joining in. See you. Have a good weekend. See you on Monday, 6:30 sharp. Until then, if you've got kids, give them a kiss, give them a hug. Hey, hey, hey. Don't forget to tell them you love them. See ya.